Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by TJS Ceramics, Posh Boutique in the Bridges at 57th, The Sky in T, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Let the countdown begin. This is episode number 190, 10 until 200, which is projected to be October 5th, barring any issues, which would also be just days before the 4th anniversary of the show on October 10th. As for today's show, actor-director Abby Schwedhelm talks about directing the Premiere Playhouse's kids' camp show, Shrek 2, which opens Friday night. Then, between the two of them, they act, direct, play guitar, even make great things from wood. It's Rachael and Steve Payne. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show.
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
When you're listening, where you're listening might make a difference in what you're going to be toasting with. But regardless, lift them high and toast them to anyone playing an outside gig this past week or this coming week. They will earn their keep trying to stay cool. But you know what? Here's something you can do. Help them out by you being cool and tipping those that don't have the benefit of AC wherever they're performing. So again, lift them high to anybody that's out there sweltering in the sunshine and the heat and humidity and just going whew, at the end of their gig and probably taking off their shirts and wringing them out. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by The Sky in Tea. The Sky provides all-caps fun. That is best had with friends. Have fun playing darts, shooting pool. Have fun listening to great live music with local musicians. Or maybe you want to be that local musician and you have fun singing karaoke. Need some extra room? You're going to be holding a party or a benefit? The Sky's back room fits the bill. No matter what's going on at the Sky, it's local and it's lively. It's time to choose a lucky winner of pizza with a podcaster. Everyone that follows the Dave Holly Hour on Facebook or Instagram is automatically entered to win a free pizza from Sonny's Pizzeria. We pick a winner each week. This week we say congratulations to Ruben Rodriguez. We'll be in touch with you, Ruben, to get you all set up with some jowl-dropping, show-stopping, thin-crust pizza. Pizza with a podcaster brought to you by Sonny's Pizzeria, right across from USF at 26th and Waltz, and Sonny's at 81 on South Phillips. Check out the very fun and incredibly flavorful menu online, sonnyspizzeria.com. By the way, my love and I just had the City Slicker the other night. Yummy. Honorable mention. Saturday night provided this week's moment of joy at Mirabella's in downtown Sioux Falls as my love and I were there for a pizza. We didn't have reservations, but they've got that side area near the bar that it's got a first come, first serve. Well, we get there. It's looking like maybe a couple of people are going to leave and then not. Some of those that know us well down there at Mirabella's decided to make room for us at the end of the bar. So we walk around to those two seats that they put at the end of the bar, and right on the corner there sit Barbie and Ken. Actually, in real life, Tammy and Shannon Nordstrom, they had dressed the part to go to the Barbie movie earlier in the afternoon. Funny little coincidences, though. Okay, so earlier in the day, we were talking about, 7 degrees of separation and so forth. My good friend Mike Hendrickson always says, well, in South Dakota, it's more like 2. So we were talking about that, and Carrie said, oh, yeah, like that time we were out in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden, here's the Nordstroms. So we had just mentioned them earlier that day, and then here they are. And then I used to be the Under the Hood radio show host that Shannon has for he and Russ Evans have this great automotive talk show. And years ago, I was a host for about 4 or 5 years, I think it was. And then after that, when I got let go by that particular radio station, Chris Carter took over. Chris is still their host. Well, as the Nordstroms were driving from Garrettson to Sioux Falls to go to the movie, they see a car pulled over on the side of the road by, a highway patrolman or perhaps just a county mountie. And it was Chris Carter. But, regardless, here it was, another coinky-dink that Shannon got to see his first host and his current host of Under the Hood Radio. Good stuff. Later on, we're going to hear from a great couple that bring joy to the stage in so many ways, Rachael and Steve Payne. And up next, she lights up a stage with her smile. Actor-director Abby Schwedhelm on the Dave Holly Hour.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes through the Sioux Falls Community Education Program and special open studio nights every Thursday evening. Bisque, studio time, or finished custom items are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
He's a bit flirtatious, but most of all, fun. Once again, here's Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, my goodness. This one's going to be exciting for me because it's somebody that I just met this year. And she's one of those fresh faces on stage. And every time she's on stage, she lights up a stage just with her smile. And she's also that way in person. And that's what we love about the fact that when I get to say this intro part of It's Always a Pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment, it's going to be a pleasure today to talk to our first-time guest, Abby Schwedhelm. How are you?
I'm great, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, it's fantastic that we get the opportunity to speak. This is a Thursday that this podcast comes out, and tomorrow night then, you have something very exciting happening for the TPP, the Premiere Playhouse, the Kids Camp, and you are the director of Shrek Jr. the Musical.
Yes.
Oh, my. Are you ready?
I am ready. So far, first week has gone by. Nothing crazy has happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids are like little sponges. They've just absorbed everything so far. And I'm really confident that the show is going to be amazing.
All right. So
year.
this is a 2-week camp that started back on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll culminate then because you've got a show tomorrow night, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon, right?
Yep.
Matinee at 2. Okay, so 7 and 2. And it looks like it's going to be fun. And, of course, people automatically go, Shrek, and then Shrek Jr., and then musical, and kids. I have the feeling you're going to have some good crowds.
Yeah, for sure. You'll have, of course, like the kids' families there.
Mm-hmm.
So like guaranteed seats to be filled, which is always good to
Right.
have.
All right. And so how many did you end up with in camp then?
We have, I believe, 33 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is audio only, so
35.
nobody saw my eyes go, wow,
Yeah.
and open up big. Incredible. Yeah. And everyone gets a part or does something in this,
Yes,
correct?
they all have a part. Majority of them actually are double to triple casted.
Yeah.
doing a bunch of different dancing parts and songs. And
this is ages 11 to 14,
correct?
All
yeah.
right. Have you worked with kids that age before?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I moved here, I spent my previous year from 2021 to the end of 2022 working for the Black Hills Playhouse, their Dakota Players tour. So I toured all around South Dakota for a whole year with a partner, and I taught children's theater. We would go to a new town every week, teach the show, perform it at the end of the week, and then move on. I dealt with kids from ages 4 years old to 18 years old. Just kind of depends. So
that's
definitely
incredible. Yeah.
kids.
So you've got the 11 to 14 years in this. You got 33 of them. What's it take to start kids off? And some, I'm guessing, probably have no theater experience, but there's probably some that have done something, or at least theater, family-ish, and so forth, and can walk in and know what a stage is and so forth. But to start them off, and within, well, because you started off on the 17th, you got the first one the 28th, in 11 days, get them ready, not just to be on stage, but to know their lines, to know all the blocking, and I'm guessing, since it's a musical, some choreography in there too.
Yes.
Oh, wow! So give us a little bit of the process. How did it start off, and get to the point that you're going to be ready to show the public tomorrow night?
Yeah, my big thing when making the schedule was I really wanted to start off with the bigger musical numbers, both music-wise and then choreography-wise, so then they can have the most amount of time to practice those things. And then working our way into the smaller stuff. The whole 2 weeks is super jam-packed. Like, we have multiple things going on all at the same time. Like, if kids are not working on music, then they're working on reviewing choreography. If they're learning choreography, then some might be with me in another room learning staging for a different scene. And if there are kids that aren't scheduled with me, Matt, our music director, or Casey Schultz, our choreographer, then they're learning their lines, reviewing more choreography, or we also always have activities or workshops that deal with theater. One that we had on, like, earlier in the week, we had Brittany Lewis, our hair and makeup
costume,
gal. She came in and taught the kids how to, like, do their basic stage makeup, and then also taught them, like, the fancy makeup for, like, Shrek and Donkey and Pinocchio and all that. So we wanted them to also learn some technical aspects. So they're always doing and learning something to involve the theater.
What's the feeling you get from the kids that are involved in it then?
The feeling I get, like, this group is just so special. They all, I believe, for the most part, have had some experience in theater. So they immediately, like, even before camp started, I had seen some of the kids at other shows or other workshops with Oliver and Alex, and they just were talking about it nonstop. They're so excited to be a part of it. Like, they just want to be on stage doing something. And they are genuine. Like, they already came in the first day knowing a lot of the songs. They really are just little pros. They're just so excited, and it's so nice to see these young kids delving into this art and stepping out of their boundaries and even comfort zones to portray an animal or a fairy tale creature, and just seeing where they really take that. And you have some kids that are more shy than others, but they're all so willing to do what it takes to put on a great show, and it's so cool to see it come to life.
Shrek Jr., the musical, how is it different, and how is it the same from what we all know and think of as Shrek when it comes to the movies and so forth?
Yeah, of course, since it's Shrek Jr., the jokes are a little tamer. Of course, you still got some here and there because adults have to have fun too. Yeah, the whole premise of the story and the plot points in the story are all the same. But of course, there's so much more music. You have these characters that they have the same attributes from the movie. Some of them are way more heightened. Some of them you even delve in a little deeper into. Like, you get to see a whole different side to Fiona, and you get to dive into her past a little bit. Same thing with Shrek too. You get to see like how he got to where he is at the swamp. So you just spend a little bit more time with these characters and see a little bit more of their backstories. And
how much did you know about it going in as director? You obviously, when you took on the assignment and so forth, it's like, okay, cool, yeah. But in terms of, kind of separating what you already knew about Shrek and stepping in going, okay, this is our production though, and I've got to put a stamp on it that shows, it's a great thing for the kids from the education standpoint, but also, the fact that you are directing and people are going to recognize the work that you did with the kids and as a director. So, how much of it were you thinking of and going, okay, here's what, if I get a chance to do this, I'm going to add this as a little bit of touch. Did you have a lot of moments like that?
I definitely had some moments. Our costume designer, Kevin, he's awesome. We both wanted to kind of stray away from some of the typical costumes you would see. So we kind of have Donkey and Shrek are kind of new and improved. Fiona, we're sticking with like some of the same color palettes for her, but again, new and improved kind of thing. Keeping the fairy tale-esque, but then also adding like a bit of a modern twist to it. And of course, there are some like lines in the show or some scenes in the show that are pretty much like a carbon copy of the movie, but turning it into something new is always a challenging part, but it's also the most fun part. And like just telling, like I would just kind of sit down with the kids and let them, I was like, you know what? Go for it. Show me what you got. Okay. And then we can like finesse things here and there, because I want to see like what their ideas are of these characters. Well, don't copy, don't mimic, but like what would you do? Yeah. And then kind of add on to it that way. And you're always going to come up with something completely new and fresh that way. Well, and I love that, because one of the things we talk about so often when we're talking about community theater, professional theater, whatever, and we talk directors, actors, and the relationships between them, is you find out that a lot of the great directors are the ones that are willing to accept an idea from an actor. But when you're talking about kids versus an adult, so you're still giving that opportunity. Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, is that something that happened to you when you were young and wanting to become an actor? I never had anything like this around where I was from. Right. I'm from such a small town that I didn't get any kind of opportunity with theater until I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And even then, it was such slapstick that like it's acting is what it is. But I still like it still opened the door for me, but I was always given a lot of freedom in high school to kind of make my own choices on the stage. And I think you have to give every performer that space. You kind of give them some boundaries, like, hey, this is where I need you to be at this point in time, but what you do before then, I'll let you decide. As long as you just for technical reasons get into some certain spots at certain moments, but otherwise I don't see why you can't decide what you want to do. And are you seeing that from this group then? That they're making choices on their own and so forth, from what you talked about already? Yeah, a lot of them, honestly, I have to almost tell them to pull back a little bit because they almost go a little too crazy. I have to be like, remember, you have to also be singing at the same time. So you can't be doing flips and stuff right now. But yeah, no, they already have stage experience for the most part, or kids are so creative all the time. And usually whatever I have written down as a backup plan, it pales in comparison to what they do and just what feels good to them. So I always end up having to go in and change everything because I just like what they did better. And they're, like I said, they're just always so creative.
You have a lot of notes in your script, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Scratch things out.
Yeah,
It's
lots
so
of
fun.
erasing marks. And
Is directing something you want to get into more?
yeah, I took some directing classes in college
Mhm.
at USD, and I knew it was always something I wanted to dive into. I just didn't, of course, know really where to start, or if it was something I really would enjoy, because, of course, in my younger brain, I'm like, I have to be on stage. But I really enjoy taking a step back and being more a part of the creative process and all of like the backstage processes as well. I really enjoy it, and doing the whole Dakota Players tour and taking that step back. And I mean, I still ended up being on stage performing with them, but it was a good first look into really like putting on a show in front of people and not being super involved.
Yeah, and getting that aspect of everything as to what takes place for a production to get into gear. You know, that was an experience that I had. Well, I've been at a few things in the past, but it had been a long time until February when you and I were on stage together and the premieres. And I had a very small part, and it was very typecast. And I even got to read the script part. So it was awesome. But the best thing about that, well, first of all, the thing that so many people talk about, the theater family then, and the people that you get so attached to in a cast and have such great admiration for. But, you know, getting to see so many things then backstage and the things that we would talk about in whether it was a cast meeting or we're just all shooting the breeze in the dressing room, you know, something like that. Everything is just so enjoyable, and to be able to soak it up. And then, you know, when you're out in the public then and somebody says, well, you know, I don't know if I can go to the site. You're not taking advantage of the gift that the community is giving you in this, and enjoy the fact that it might be your neighbor, it might be your doctor, who knows, that's up on stage, or running lights or sound or something along that line. And Premiere Playhouse has been doing just absolutely great, but it was fun getting to know you in that. But tell us a little bit more about, you know, you mentioned the fact that you had some leeway in high school, but what about the college days then? Was that still in the mind of, oh, I've got to be an actor, I've got to be on stage at that point? Or where did it start to grow that maybe Abby wanted to do more?
Yeah, it definitely started in college, because I didn't really get casted in things in college until my junior year.
Wow.
So I spent all of my freshman, sophomore year taking all the tech classes, working crew for all of the shows. So I really got a lot of experience working backstage. I can probably help crew any show and do anything and be just fine with it. And of course, in that time when I was only being stage crew, I'm like, oh, I want to be on stage. When is it my turn? And then I finally got my chance, and I loved having the balance of, oh, I'm in this show this semester, and then the second show of this semester I can be involved in the crew, or even just sit back and enjoy the show and not be involved at all, which that's the hardest part. I like it being involved in some way. But definitely, I think my junior year was when I really wanted to get into directing, maybe even playwriting. And so finally got out there and started taking classes on those things. And I just look at some of my favorite shows and I'd be like, wow, I would love to direct that and like do it in this way.
Right.
And just any way to be involved. And even stage managing Young Frankenstein with the Premiere Playhouse this last fall, that was something also still new to me. And I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it to help out. I'm still excited to be a part of it, but I'm like, doing this to help out, but I'm like, probably won't do this again. This isn't what I do. But oh my gosh, I loved it so much that I'm like, I would gladly stage manage again.
That's
like,
excellent.
Even though stage managers don't like have the most, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have like a huge say in like creatively what goes on, but just sitting back and watching the whole process, and your stage managers, they're like the top dog. They make everything happen in a show. Yeah, they are responsible for so much. They make the show happen, and being able to do that was just really cool. Like I felt, even though I didn't direct the show, I still felt so much pride in the show that I'm like, I would just love to do that again. So yeah, no, I would love to just take a step back and do more directing and stage managing in the future.
All right. So when did you move to Sioux Falls then?
I moved to Sioux Falls in September of 22.
You've had quite a year, haven't you?
I have.
You jump in, stage manage Young Frankenstein, then were you in Christmas Carol?
I was in a Christmas Carol,
yeah,
yes.
I kind of thought so. And then you're in the Premieres, and then you're in Grease.
Yep.
And now you're directing the kids.
Yep.
When do you take a break?
I don't.
Well, like you said, you'd rather be involved than not involved.
Yeah, I took a little break when they did Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
I originally auditioned for it, and I did get in, and I kind of started that process, but I just had I had friends getting married that I was involved in, and
an actual personal life, yeah.
Yeah, I apparently had an actual personal life that time that was going on, and I had to just take a step back and be like, okay, I think I need a little bit of a break. It breaks my heart to do so, but I had to do it, and still is really sad that I missed it. But I think for myself, that was a
all
good
right.
choice.
So as you look at the next season for Premiere Playhouse or any of the other local theaters, what's on your mind as to what you want to be involved with?
Oh man, I think this season coming up for the Premiere Playhouse is going to be so much fun. And the Goodnight Theater Collective, their season also looks amazing. I love Sense and Sensibility. I love Spring Awakening. I would love to be involved in those. However, I am actually going to be leaving Sioux Falls here shortly.
Oh, no. Why? Where are you going? What's ahead in life?
I'm going to be moving to Florida.
Oh,
Orlando.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
So,
working for Disney, or?
That's the plan. That's the goal. But yeah, I love everything that I've done here, and I love all the friends.
We love everything you've done here. It's just been fantastic to see you. And like I tell people about you that aren't aware of you being on stage, I'll say she was the one that had that huge smile and it lit up the room, because it does. I mean, I think I complimented you on that very early after meeting you. It's like, when you were out there dancing as the ballerina, and to see your smile and your comfort on stage and your wanting to make the audience feel that was just phenomenal. And I'm so happy that I got to see that so often. And I'll miss it when you're not here, that's for sure. But in the meantime, we'll still see what is going on. So when is this planned move taking place?
Mid-August.
Oh, my goodness.
Soon.
Yeah.
A few weeks.
Oh, my. All right. Well, we'll have to have a party.
Yes.
Bon voyage.
Yes.
Bon voyage to Florida.
A big party. Would love it.
Yeah. In the meantime, one of the things that I always like to end up with on this conversation is there's two questions. Quite often when I ask the first question, it negates having to ask the second one. But when you're not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
I am a huge reader.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love reading. I always I'm just the biggest book nerd. So far this year, I have the goal to read 50 books.
So basically one a week.
Yeah. I'm at 36 so far.
Well done.
Last year, I read over 70.
Ooh.
So even exceeded that. But yeah, I like to read a lot.
That's great. Reading is fundamental, you know.
And then, of course, I like to garden and plant flowers as well.
Yeah, so you just bypassed question number 2, would have been any other hobbies.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I love gardening. I love planting. I also really enjoy movies as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself a huge movie buff,
right,
but I do very much enjoy movies and discussing them, kind of like critiquing them in my like not super expert way.
Okay, so what's been a recent movie you've seen?
I just saw the Barbie movie the other day.
Okay, and your thoughts on it?
Oh, I thought it was so good. I definitely cried a few times. I apparently cried everything now. So I did cry a few times. It was so much different than I expected. I really didn't see a trailer going into it. I just kind of saw a tour of the Barbie dream house set and thought, sold, I'm going to definitely see that. And it just turned into something so much more than I thought it was going to be. It's this huge feminist movement, and even just like finding one's purpose in life and like knowing that you do have a purpose, and even just like being human and seeing Barbie become human. It was just really
I have heard
and cool.
Very good things about it, and not just from the typical people you would think going to it, but also guys going with their wives saying, "No, it's actually a pretty good movie, you know." And so I've heard good things about that. All right, so the books, favorite author?
My favorite author. Oh no, you're asking the hard questions.
Yeah, finally get there. 21 minutes into the
21 minutes in, this is where the hard question comes in. I haven't really I stick to a few authors here and there, but I really like to just dive into a little bit of everything. But I've really been enjoying Emily Henry. She's kind of a newer romance author, and it's really hard for me to strongly enjoy a romance because they're all kind of the same. They're all a little corny. They're all a little kind of icky. They give me the ick a little bit with some of the stereotypes they portray. But she really kind of doesn't get into that and always has a really just meaningful characters you can connect to. So I've been really enjoying her. And then I've also really been enjoying Christina Lauren. She's another kind of more romance author, and I started off really liking her. Had a few books where I kind of was like, oh, not my favorite, but now her recent ones have been really good again. So I've been catching up on her. She's good.
All right. One final plug now for Shrek Jr. the musical. Starts tomorrow night, Friday night 7, Saturday night 7, Sunday afternoon at 2, and this is at the Orpheum.
Yes, at the Orpheum, correct.
All right, fantastic. Tickets available through Premiere Playhouse.
Yes.
All right, and also then that would mean Washington Pavilion, correct?
Yes.
You can get them there. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, Abby Schwedhelm, we wish you the best with getting a job at Disney. All right. But such a pleasure to have met you, to have worked with you, and to have had you here on the show to talk about everything you've been working on. And we just have a great feeling that it means even more success to you.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Helping women feel empowered and confident is what Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th does, while supplying high-quality clothing that fits your lifestyle, personality, and price point. Whether you want comfy and cozy, casual attire, or something for a special occasion, Posh provides quality, selection, and value. They carry sizes extra small to 3X and have something appropriate for any age. Feel empowered and get confident. Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics. Bisque, studio time, or finished custom items are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Time for more arts and entertainment talk on the Dave Holly Hour.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, you know what I'm going to say because you're such faithful listeners. You go, yeah, Dave always starts every conversation with, it's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. That I do, but today it's going to be it's going to be a painful. I had to throw it in.
Not used to that.
Rachel and Steve Payne, how are you two?
I'm great.
Not
Dave,
too
thanks
bad.
for having
Oh,
us. Double
thank
feature.
you. Yes, it is. And the fact that your first-time guests, although you should be, repeat guests because you've been busy this whole time that my show's been on, but you just keep getting busier and busier. And the two of you, it's like, okay, so they were in a show together one time, one on stage, one in the band.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, we got to get them on. But then, I keep all these other things, and it's like, yeah, they're on the list. When are we going to get to them? And then finally now, since the summer's free for you, we were able to arrange this.
Yeah.
And so the reason that we have you is because you both happen to be, well, first of all, you're great performers no matter what you're doing.
Thanks.
But the second of all, just the fact that you do so much, and it's always fun to see when it's a husband and wife or any couple that are together and spend so much time being in the arts.
Right, it's a family affair.
Yeah. So how long you guys been married?
We've been married for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Got married in 2021.
And pandemic time or just
after?
Just after.
So we got married right in that little lull where things kind of settled down a little bit.
Yeah. And what drew you two together? Was it because of being performers or in the arts?
Well,
it was a beer festival, actually.
A beer fest?
Yeah, we met at
Well,
French
that's
and Fest.
entertaining.
Yeah. Some friends kind of wanted to set us up, and she was more like, I'm not really ready, and I was kind of oblivious to what was happening, but clearly there was an attraction there, so she caved, and here we are later.
I caved. It's funny, Dave. We went to high school together, but I've always been theater, band, choir, dork, and he was a big sports guy.
Okay.
And we weren't in the same class, so we did not run in the same circles in high school. 10 years later, we met at a beer festival, and it was the right time.
So you had beer in common.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I made the mistake because
Still like him
used to
sober.
she's a beer connoisseur. She used to write for the Argus, articles about, I don't know, just beer.
Yeah.
And I made the stupid decision to ask her, like, hey, what do you think of this beer you're drinking? And I got this really long, drawn out answer.
I haven't.
And I was like, oh wow, yeah, I think it's good. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a lot of hops. It's got the
exactly.
You described it all. My wife is a beer connoisseur too.
Oh really?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I can't have beer because of my diabetes.
Right.
So I am a connoisseur of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, you're a Jack
Daniels
guy. Yeah.
All right. So what you said you were already the theater geek.
Yeah.
In high school and so forth. Music first, dance first.
I am not
Acting
a dancer,
first?
Dave.
Not
I'm
a dancer?
Well,
I'm surprised because aren't you in a little program right now?
Well, I'm doing. I'm in Rise Up with Lisa Conlin and Natty Teetsy, and I have a wonderful mentee, Ellie Quinn. She goes to Lincoln, and she was in Salem with us at Goodnight, and that has been so much fun. So we have a little something in the works.
Okay.
To show in September, but not heavy dancing.
Okay.
No. But I can move about the stage.
Yeah. But apparently can't move downstairs as a few days ago. Yes. You broke ribs?
Yes. So,
multiple?
Multiple. We just got our floors refinished. So that includes our stairs, our stairwell. And we didn't have carpet treads on them.
Yeah.
And I was carrying this huge plant in a ceramic planter, probably 40 pounds. And I ducked down, and granted, I'm wearing socks this whole time, so just foolish.
Yeah.
And I slipped on the step, and I had this plant in my hand, so I didn't have anything to catch my fall except for my back. Yeah, so I broke 2 ribs a little less than a week ago, so haven't been doing much dancing lately, Dave. I can say that for sure.
No doubt. So what got you into theater? Where did it all start for you? You mentioned high school, but had you had a flair for anything prior to that?
Oh yeah, I was always singing at home and trying to dance, putting on performances. You hear that a lot from people that they just grew up doing it. But when I was in high school, I had wonderful, wonderful mentors. Teresa Fester was my acting teacher, drama, oral interp, and she's a genius. She's still at O'Gorman. And then I learned to sing through Kathy Britton, who was just wonderful as well.
So some creds to those people.
Absolutely,
They've got it behind them.
For sure.
Yeah. And have you just stayed steady in theater and so forth since?
Well, yeah, it's funny that you say that. I did it in college, and I'm a teacher, so I like to joke that every day is a performance. I teach middle school, so there's a lot of performing there. I had a little break, but when I moved to Minnesota for a couple of years, and then when I came back, Bob Wedlin and Luke Tachi said, you should audition for our little theater group. Little back then, right?
Yes.
And, so then I've been with Goodnight for the past 5 years, and it's been a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah. And it's been busy, and not just acting, but directing.
Yes.
What do you enjoy?
Directing.
You love that more than acting? Or is it like a 1 and a 1A?
Kind of. Yeah. I'm going to take a page out of Rebecca Merriman's book. I asked her, because she acted in my show, Little Women, last year. I said, Rebecca, which one do you like more, acting or directing? And she said, it scratches different itches, which is spot on. They're both very rewarding in different ways.
Right.
I just have such a special place for directing. Little Women last year, I got an all-star cast, wonderful crew, amazing stage manager. So that was one of those golden moments that I was like, everything's aligning perfectly, and I love it.
Yeah.
So
at what point then did you realize that this theater thing is going to be more than just a hobby?
Oh boy. I think once you get in with Goodnight as an adult and you start doing a little bit more and meeting the amazing people in Goodnight, then you're like, I don't really want to quit. This is great. Yeah, I'll put some sets together. I'll do some sewing. I'll do some behind the scenes stuff. So it's a great hobby to have. It's so creative, such a good outlet. So I'm not planning to stop anytime soon. Yeah.
All right. So Steve, let's turn to you and find out at what point, because it looks like you're still in pretty good shape. You could probably...
no broken ribs here.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
And I know your dad was a great baseball player.
Yeah.
World Series of age 30 and over type stuff,
amateur,
right?
They won the World Series a couple times. Yeah, great athlete.
So was that your focus?
Yeah, I think probably growing up I was more of an athlete. Excuse me. And then in high school it just got to be so much sports. Like I was getting recruited to play basketball. I had gotten interest to play college baseball. I ended up playing football the whole year, but I just got so burnt out, especially basketball. And I just quit after my sophomore year. I played varsity as a freshman, all that whole thing. So I was pretty good. I was talented. I won't be shy about that, but I just got so burnt out and I ended up hating it. All my friends were doing the plays and the musicals and getting dressed up, just kind of singing on stage, goofing around. Half of them didn't have any talent, but they were just kind of, it was
fun.
just a group, right? It was high school and you just kind of did it. So I think she's like, hey, you should just try it. And I was always playing guitar too. That's something that I think I begged my parents for guitar when I was 11 or 12 and they finally caved. They didn't think it was going to last. One thing they were wrong about. But anyway, just kind of put those two things together and started just doing a couple. I think I did Joseph in high school. I was just a chorus member in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And then I played guitar for a one act. And I think there was one more thing there, but that was just kind of a really fun way to separate yourself from just this, life of athletics. And yeah, it was just, it got to be a lot, but that's just kind of cool. Thinking back on it now, finding that really nice balance between, the things that I still liked playing sports, but not quite that much. I did play football all the way through, like I said, but I don't know. That's kind of where I started delving a little bit into the theater scene, and I kind of have maintained that balance ever since. So I'm not like Rachael here, full on gung ho, theater, but I do enjoy it when I have the opportunity to kind of bring anything I can bring to the table, I guess.
Well, and at least, here in a city, that was a little bit different. You probably did focus more for a certain amount of time on something and then switch. Versus myself growing up in a small town down in Rock Rapids, you're in everything.
Yeah.
And then when you get older and you have all these spare parts now, you're going, damn, why didn't I concentrate on the music and so forth more?
Exactly.
What made you decide, this guitar thing will be cool?
Honestly, no idea. I just heard some guitar music one time. I was like, that sounds cool. And then I just asked my parents for one. They finally got me one. And let's see, that was I think I was 12. I'm 31 now, so roughly like 19-ish years.
Yeah.
I've been playing since then. And it's kind of neat to play for that long and kind of look back retrospectively. You can kind of find the different points where any musician or probably artist will get to this point where you just kind of get stuck. Like you've got talent, you're good at what you know, but you kind of get stuck. Like, what's that next thing that's going to bring me to this next level of whatever craft you're doing? And I'm at a point with my guitar playing now that any cover song, like I got it down, no big deal. But I'm trying to get more into better lead playing, electric lead playing, which is, I know the basics, but to actually like change like the key you're playing, maybe not the key, but yeah, honestly, I'm not a trained musician either, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. But just playing it really smoothly is what I'm working on now. And that's kind of tough. For me, it's tough.
Yeah. Okay, so self-taught then?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm always surprised when I hear that when it comes to guitar, because I tried lessons at a couple of different times. It's like I can strum and I can maybe do one chord, and that's about it.
Yeah. That's a start, though, Dave. Keep going.
Yeah, right? Never too late.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but there are other things on the plate right now.
That's true.
Right. It's about balance, right?
Yeah, very true. And so you started off there, and you meet this lady at a beer fest, find out you were in the same school. Oh, wow. So what made it go, ooh, she's in theater. How can I get involved at the same time that she is?
I think, actually, we'll back up even before we met. The Goodnight crew approached me.
Oh, that's right.
To play.
Yeah.
So
Before I was even a member.
They just wanted to try. This was like, I don't know, their first or second season. Second, maybe? Third? I don't know.
It would have been their second, yeah.
And they said, hey, we just want like a guitar for a couple songs. Just cover songs. I can't remember what they were. But I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I did that. So I was actually introduced to that kind of world in Sioux Falls anyway, before Rachael had even moved back here.
Technicolor Cabaret, wasn't it? One of the Pride cabarets.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, then she started getting involved with it, and then she became obviously way more involved and still is. And then they kind of came back to me and said, hey, we're doing these live bands now. We need a guitar. And I said, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's a good thing too, because it's so fun. Everything the Goodnight does is fantastic and well put together, well thought out. But those cabarets, when they started, I remember being there in their opening night I think it was only one night on their first show even.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Bob when I started my show then. And my first episode, I think I got about 50 downloads throughout the week. And then Bob comes on, and when he posted it on his Facebook, he hashtagged every single person that he mentioned during the interview.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had 76 downloads in the first day.
Dave.
That's marketing right there.
Now we know how
doubt.
that grows. But I remember talking to him about the fact that, when they started, and I said, what were you expecting? He said, we had no idea. We were thinking if we got 50 people, we'd be really happy. Well, they had way more than 50 people, and then they started adding, and each show seems to get more people and more people involved. I think, Rachael, back to when you mentioned the fact, so many different people that you get to be involved with in that group. And one of the big words that comes up in this in these conversations on the show is collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be so easy. And you find that in other markets about this size, there is some headbutting when it comes to, well, I didn't get that role, and all those different things. And then you take a look at what we have in this community, and it's fantastic.
It's like a unicorn, I feel like.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And so that's great because, you're not the only guitar player that they utilize. You're not the only actor-director that they utilize.
You're right, and we are better together. Like our other lead guitar, Eric Miller,
Eric is awesome.
He's so humble. You would never admit it, but he is so great. So working with him and watching Steve collaborate and learn from him.
Yeah.
Again, that's one of the ways, like Steve said, sometimes you get stuck. When you get to collaborate with people that have different ideas than it just makes you grow. It's so healthy. And like you said, Dave, we have such a non-competitive community in Sioux Falls. It doesn't feel like, oh, well, that actor belongs to that company, so they can't try out for anything else. So it's nice to be able to spread your wings a little bit.
Very true. Well, and it's that same thing. Yes, it is in a way competition because everybody wants to get their piece of the pie and wants to get as many to a show as they can. But nobody's, saying, oh, you can't go to that show on this date because this is ours,
Yep.
And we let everybody have their freedom, just like you were saying, the freedom to choose, what kind of group you want to be involved in and so forth. So what is next for the two of you? Is there anything coming up that you'll both be in?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm very excited. Goodnight's season is incredible. You were talking about how far they've come in 8-9 years. This season's like bigger and better than ever. We have some incredible shows. The first show that we have is a honky tonk cabaret, which I'm cast in. Very exciting. So Steve usually plays for the cabarets. Originally, it was just going to be Eric Miller. Then Luke reached out to Steve and said, would you play for the honky tonk cabaret? And I'm here in the background like, say yes, say yes.
Yeah, he reached out and I was always kind of like, I'm honestly not a big country music fan, but he said, hey, there's like 2 guitar parts in every song I'm listening to. Would you do it? And I was like, Rachel's in it. Okay. Get to play with Eric.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can make it work. So,
well.
yeah. And then the set list has come out and can't share it probably now.
It's a
but
secret.
they're fun. They're not
okay. I was just going to say, not so much traditional country,
Right.
but probably more a little Southern rock.
Southern rock, kind of like folk
crossover.
country,
Oh.
not like just like pop country that you
Right.
know, go to the south on a dirt road with your pickup and drink beer kind of thing. So.
Exactly.
But since you met at a beer fest, you might do that.
It would be fine with
The
us.
first cabaret we were in together a couple years ago, Rachael actually served me a beer. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was culinary cabaret.
Yeah.
She was the waitress, and I wasn't playing at a certain point.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
And I served him a beer.
And I drank
I recall
There
that
you
too.
go.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Matt Morrison, we all know him. He was like telling me to drink during those shows, but maybe we shouldn't go into that.
keep loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do country cabaret together, and then Steve will play again at the end of the season. So our cabarets sort of bookend our next season. We start with the honky tonk and we end with the classic rock cabaret, which Steve and Eric will also be together for that too, which will rock, pun intended. It'll be really cool. So I'm just really excited to be performing with Steve again in October. It'll be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Directing anything next year?
I am directing again.
What are you directing?
So our black box show, one of them, is Sense and Sensibility, which is very exciting. They kind of put me in this position of like the classic literature shows. So last year I did Little Women, this year Sense and Sensibility, which I'm really excited for. We've got a cast of I think 9 or 10 folks, and it's our only straight show. So no singing in this show, maybe a little bit, but no performative singing. So I'm just really excited because like I said before, I just really love directing. I feel like it makes me a better actor to direct, to have that perspective of both. So I'm just really, really stoked for that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that do that.
Yes.
That they act, they direct.
Yeah.
And they often say, similar things about making them a better actor. But another thing they talk about when they're on the actor side is when I ask them about a particular director, what were they like to work with and so forth. I always hear that, they like or give us the freedom to suggest.
Yes.
And do you parlay that into the way that you direct as well?
Yeah. Yes. So what I kind of like to do is we'll read through a scene once, and then I'll say, okay, I want to just see what you do. Let's see what feels right, what feels good. If you need ideas, that's what I'm here for. But especially directing for Goodnight, everyone that I work with is so talented, so experienced, makes the job of a director very easy. And everyone's better when they can feel that safety of, okay, I can bring my idea to the table and have it be heard and listened to and contribute to the end product. So yeah, I love that, allowing actors to play. That's how you get the best work, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So you say that directing makes you a better actor.
Oh yeah.
What do you bring to directing then?
So yeah, like I said, it's all about making the actors feel safe, and meaning safe on stage with their movement, this and that, but also safe to have their ideas heard. They're not going to think, oh, Rachel's going to be so mad. I better just keep my mouth shut. If I give them a note and they need me to elaborate or they have a different idea, they feel okay saying that. So you hear this term, an actor's director. Yes. Yeah. So that's what I strive to do, because you want people to feel like they are a part of the end product, that it wasn't just Rachael Payne's show, it was all of our show.
Yeah, great things. All right, Steve, I know that you are a great guitar player because I see that, but
sometimes
you happen to have another art form that you do. You are a woodworker. How did that start?
Well, I was kind of like...
Did you ask your parents for a lathe or anything when you were living along with that guitar?
There's like a few things I should have that I don't. A lathe is one of them still. Yeah, no, I don't know. I was kind of like enjoyed putting things together even when I was a kid. Like I'd put 2 2x4s in a cross. I'm like, oh, it's an airplane. You know, just kind of that.
Right.
Kind of creative outlet, I guess. But then COVID came. Everybody had their kind of COVID project. And mine, I just ended up... I had a table saw and a miter saw, and I just kept building stuff. Like that's just all I would do because everybody had so much spare time, myself included. Then I kind of started experimenting a little more with like hardwood, not stuff you just go to Menards or Home Depot and get, but like really nice stuff, nice material.
Get some nice cherry or
cherry, walnut. Cherry, walnut, maple is kind of the holy trinity, I guess, of the US, I guess. But anyway, then I kind of started experimenting with that and made a couple things. And then I just went to Rachael and I said, hey, what if I just like put a brand on this woodworking idea? Like, I don't know if it's going to happen or amount to anything, but let's just see how it goes. And she was like, sure. What do you have to lose? Maybe a little money. And I was like, sounds good. So I did it. I kind of organized it. Got a few more pieces of equipment, not a lathe, but I do have some other stuff that I didn't have before. And it's really been 2.5 or 3 years now. It's called Mark 201. I had to come up with a name, first of all. So the name is kind of unique. Mark is actually my middle name, and it's my dad's name. But sorry, Dad, that's not actually why I chose Mark as first one. Mark, you put your mark on something, your signature, you're kind of just a little bit of your personality into it. That's what the mark is. And the 2 and the 0 and the 1 are also meaningful. The 2 represents the various relationships in the process. So if you, Dave, said, hey, Steve, I want this table or whatever, there's a relationship there between me and you. There's a relationship between you and your table. There's a relationship between me and the table, me and the process. So just the various relationships. That's the number 2. The 0 is the full process from start to finish, kind of coming all full circle back to 0. And then the 1 is the one final finished piece. So I just kind of combined those two things together, and I was like, hey, that's a pretty kind of fun, catchy thing. It doesn't use my last name, which is, funny because it's Payne, but you don't really want to use that in, like, I don't think a business name at all. It just has slight negative connotation. So I had to,
even though it has a Y.
Yeah, exactly. So got away from that, just went abstract Mark 201. So yeah, doing it. That has been going on for about 3 years now. I make everything from like small gifts, like cutting boards, picture frames, boxes, to game boards. Yeah, small to medium-sized furniture as well. I'm doing something right now that's like a coffee carts kind of thing. Fridge on one side, mini fridge on one side, shelving on the other, and then like kind of a nice top made out of ash, which is really pretty blonde hardwood. So
a lot of times he'll make something for a client. I'm like, oh, what a please.
Yeah, that's been a thing too. We moved into
space for that.
We moved into a new house, two years ago or so. So like slowly but surely, I'm just outfitting every single thing I can out of whatever I'm making.
Ever make a bar for a 3-season room?
Just for example?
For example, a bar top. So the bar tops are tough. I'm just limited by space. My shop's kind of small. I know how to do it. I could do it, but I haven't done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yet.
Why do you ask?
What could be Dave's reason?
Yeah, right.
There's always a way to do something. You just got to get creative.
Very true. Yeah, very true. But yeah, you'll probably be designing something soon. So we won't let it out of the bag or let my wife hear that.
Well, you have our number, Dave. You know where to find us.
Exactly. All right. So the typical questions I like to end with, there's 2 of them. Quite often your answer to number 1 doesn't mean I have to ask the second one. So Rachael will go. When you're not part of the arts and entertainment scene, what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, Dave, I love my grandma hobbies. I really love gardening. I have a big garden in my backyard. I'm in a gardening club this year. I'm like really leaning into the grandma hobbies. I love to read. Those are my two big ones. Yeah. I love an audiobook, but of course I'm an English teacher, so I do a lot of just reading on my own, hardcover, things like that. But gardening and reading are my 2 things. And when Steve is willing to bring out the guitar at home and let me sing, I love to do that too.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Any other hobbies?
Oh boy, I'm sure there's a ton, but here we are on the spot. I love to cook. I love to bake. So during pandemic, I got really into sourdough baking, and I've kept that up. So cooking, baking, gardening, all those grandma hobbies.
What's your go-to dish?
Oh boy, I do a mean chicken and dumplings.
Oh yeah,
I've gotten comfort food.
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot more comfortable grilling, sous vide. But I would say what I'm known for is baked goods, breads.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cheesy bread.
Cheesy bread.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, right?
You used the holy word cheese.
I know. Dave's going to be mad that we came empty-handed.
Well, like sourdough with, you just toss a bunch of cheese in it, and then you make a grilled cheese with it.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, that is it. That's, wow.
You can't get much better than that.
And I just ate, too.
You can find room.
All right, Steve. So you've already got this big thing going on with the woodworking.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, outside of entertainment, what do you like to be entertained by?
I probably, let's see here. This winter, I've gotten more into playing video games, which I really have never done that much. I always had like the old like Nintendo 64 and like GameCubes. And we actually like to play
retro, huh?
We like to play the Mario Party games.
Yeah.
Just like once a month, maybe have a few cocktails with it. So that's a lot of fun. But I kept like getting a little more interested in the Nintendo Switch. I like the Zelda games too. I'm not alone there. But Rachael got me a Switch for Christmas, and probably at least 4 times a week I'll end the night just playing some video game. So that's a way for me to just unwind and kind of just disconnect a little bit, then fall asleep. Apart from that, water skiing is another big thing we like to do.
Steve is a great skier.
Yeah, I've always kind of been interested, like slalom skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel's aunt and uncle have a place on Lake Ponce that we try to get to as much as we can. Then, just kind of shred the ski a little bit as often as I can.
Oh, fantastic.
While I still can, I
Great
guess.
stuff. You know, you two are just, and regrettably, I haven't ever done a video podcast yet.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's something along the line maybe I'll get into, because it's sad that when I'm here and looking at the two of you and watching how you look at each other, and the smiles that you both have, it's like, oh, this is just too cool.
Oh, Dave. Get a YouTube channel going, Dave. That'd be great.
I actually do have a YouTube channel.
Here you go.
Nice.
Plug it.
So we gotta start moving on that and so forth. All right.
Yeah.
But Steve and Rachael Payne, thank you so much for taking some time out to be on the Dave Holly Hour.
You
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun, Dave.
All
Thanks.
right, thank you. And we'll be back to wrap up the show in just a moment.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffat Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guests, Abby Schwedhelm and Rachael and Steve Payne. And of course, thank you for listening, downloading as we make our way toward 15K, sharing, following on social media, and those cups of coffee. If you haven't so far, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, which automatically gets you entered for Pizza with a Podcaster. Now for all 190 episodes, go online, DaveHollyHour.com. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. And as I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramics, Posh Boutique, The Sky in Tea, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and Sonny's Pizzeria. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and look for a coffee cup icon in the lower left. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.